Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tip Top Travel. Today, you join me in my second episode from my visit to Rome in Italy series. But today, instead of talking about Rome and Italy, we're talking about the Vatican and the Vatican City, the papal home of the Pope. And of course, the Vatican City is a city-state, so it is another country. So when we say we're visiting Italy and visiting Rome, the Vatican City is itself a country. So that's quite cool. This video will go into about what it's like going around the Vatican, as well as going to St. Peter's Square, and I'll let you know my thoughts and views and whether I think it's worth you taking your time to visit if you're visiting Rome. So on my visit to the Vatican City, I decided to visit the museums and the Sistine Chapel first, and then go to St. Peter's Square afterwards. The reason for this is, of course, it can get incredibly busy in the museums and the Sistine Chapel. So if you're looking at going when it's a little bit quieter, although there are still plenty of tourists around, then I'd recommend going in the morning before most of the tourists show up. Now, the museums and the Sistine Chapel are, of course, incredibly beautiful buildings. I'm not a religious man myself, but I'm a big fan of religious architecture, and this is very much all of the religious pomp that you expect from the Vatican. The museums, of course, I think it's important to remember when you're going around the museums is that lots of the artifacts in the museum are stolen from places like Egypt and ancient Greece. And they're presented as if they were gifts to the Vatican, but actually if you look at the history of many of the artifacts that have found themselves in the Vatican, they are of course stolen, and there's lots of campaigns taking place across the world to get these artifacts repatriated to their countries of origin. So it's important to remind yourself of that fact when wandering around and reading the inscriptions. But as we wander through the museums and walk into the surrounds of the Sistine Chapel, it is a really, really beautiful environment. Of course, this is what years and years, decades and decades, centuries and centuries of tax evasion does by you. It's lots of gold colours, ornate walls, ornate paintings, historical artifacts. It is really, truly quite spectacular to walk around. So I'd highly recommend doing this, even if you're like me and quite cynical at both religion and also the foundation of the entire Sistine Chapel. It is something quite breathtaking to behold. And of course, you're not actually allowed to film or take pictures within the Sistine Chapel, so all of this video is videos of the museum and the lead up with the rooms to the Sistine Chapel, but not actually inside the chapel itself. But I hope in this video you get a really good sense of what it's like to actually be in there. And as I'd say, I would recommend doing this on your visit to Rome. Cost of the tickets are quite expensive. I believe there were two of us that went, so paid €100 overall, which is expensive, but it's something that I wanted to do. So if you're able to budget for it, then great. So I would, highly recommend budgeting for it and visiting if you can. So after leaving the Sistine Chapel area of the Vatican, you exit back into Italy and then round the Vatican walls, the really high walls, as you'll be able to see in a minute. Quite imposing, actually. And it does go to show how the Vatican has always tried to place themselves on a pedestal, both metaphorically and physically, above the rest of its surroundings. But nonetheless, it's about a 15-minute walk from the museums in the Sistine Chapel into St. Peter's Square. St. Peter's Square is the area in which the Pope addresses the huge crowds that you see on television during addresses and masses and things like that. And it is a truly interesting area to go in. I would highly recommend going to here as well. It is quite breathtaking how big it is, how ornate it is, how well set out it is. And we went at Christmas time, so we were able to see some wonderful Christmas trees, as well as all of the normal regalia which is in place there. And this part is of course open to the general public. So if you're not willing to give money to the Vatican and go in to the museums and the Sistine Chapel, but you wanted to visit it anyway, purely just to tick another country off your list, you can easily get into this area for free, and I would highly recommend doing so. In terms of getting to the Vatican from the middle of Rome, if you want to walk, it's about an hour. I ended up walking because I love walking around cities, but you can easily get a tram or a taxi or the metro, and it's very easy to get to. So would highly recommend visiting St. Peter's Square as well. And that brings to an end this video. So I really hope you enjoyed my tour of the Vatican City, what it's like inside. I hope that it gives you an indication of whether you want to come and visit Rome yourself, whether it was something you'd want to do. If not, then that's absolutely fair enough, but I would recommend going to St. Peter's Square as it is free. But thank you very much for joining me in this video. I hope you enjoy. If you'd be so kind to like and subscribe or leave a comment of feedback, I'd really appreciate it. Got more videos coming from this Visit to Rome series, but I've also got lots of other videos on my channel from other previous travelling explorations I've done. So thank you very much for joining me once again. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I'll see you in the next video.